Yeah, so start then. Hi Sadab. Hi, hello everybody. So we have been waiting for this session for long, and let's start the session on Azure Cloud Migration. I have with me Priyesh Bharat, who is a master trainer on Azure. He is a certified Microsoft certified trainer, specifically on Azure, and he gives multiple. Hi Sam. Um, so, Sam, are you able to join? I believe yes. Okay. So, yeah. So I have. So I put everyone on mute for now. So I have with me Priyesh Bharat, who is the master trainer on Azure. He has been into the cloud world for almost a decade, and he will be giving us a good oversight on specifically custom cloud migration, which we see is which is not just lift and shift, which is beyond lift and shift, and that's what the topic is. So obviously this is multi-cloud for you, Azure cloud migration session. We have done multiple session in the past with different speakers, specialists, architect, and today uh, we are pleased to have Priyesh Bharat with us, who will be giving us a specific session on this very hot topic on migrating custom workload on Azure. It is beyond lift and shift that we'll be talking about today. We ideally give this session on alternate Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and anyone can join. And we also apart from this we are also launching um, paid sessions which will come up soon, and which will be a very fast track session where we'll engage people for almost whole day on a specific topic which is hot in the market, and we'll talk on this. But this is free because this is part of our commitment to share knowledge around share our years of experience and knowledge around cloud, multi-cloud platform, and how different things works on the cloud and how we can be frugal. So let's start. I have with me Priyesh Bharat, as I said. He is MCT, Microsoft certified trainer. He is a cloud service solution architect. He is Azure, AWS, Bluemix expert. He has multi decades of direct service with the IT and cloud industry. He has years of experience as an expert, multi cloud and Azure solution architect. Uh, if I talk about him, he's like a seasoned cloud solution architect and an awesome speaker and a trainer. Uh, and we have been interacting with him for the past 8-10 years on a professional ground, and that has been a fantastic interaction, getting his experience on different cloud migration topic or cloud specific topic, either in infrastructure, SaaS, CaaS, or PaaS. This is a LinkedIn profile. You can use the Bitly to connect. I would suggest if someone is not on mute to go on mute. This is me. Oh, just give me a moment. Okay. So yeah, sorry. So this is your host. I am your jockey. I am your host. I am your um, a multi-cloud expert, Anjani Kumar. I am a technopreneur. I have multi decades of experience. I'm a mentor, enabler. I'm a Alibaba Cloud Big Data MVP. I'm a frugal full stack polyglot. I can do code in most of the languages. Multi-cloud master and digital business transformation evangelist. I have been working in this IT industry for almost double of decade. I am ex-publicist, Royal Bank of Scotland, Microsoft, government. I have worked with government, research and development companies and NGO in the past. I am the principal architect for multi-cloud for you, and also fifth IR now. And this is my LinkedIn profile. Anyone can connect with me and can share his knowledge, or can I can help him out or mentor him out wherever it's required. Uh, so agenda for today, why are we doing this? Past session and streaming links, what we'll be covering today, migrating workload on Azure, and this is beyond lift and shift that we'll be talking about. And obviously hear from Pressbroth directly, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So as I said, our platform is a initiative for exploring multi-cloud from feature, hands-on and frugality. Frugality is cost effectiveness, including distributed tech and data. mostly. So we talk mostly on distributed technologies. We talk mostly on the extreme engineering, but we also take sessions which are pretty good for starters who are joining to the cloud industry, who just try to understand cloud from the basic perspective, or who want to be a cloud expert. So we have both kind of session, different type of expert, different layers of expert coming on our platform and talking. Use the learning to do an unbiased review between multiple cloud platform. Suggest cloud value propositions. So we are in connect with most of the big cloud company, and we do bug bashing and a lot of thing and interaction with them, directly connecting with them to give them or suggest them on solution. Some of the solution have been accepted also by different cloud vendor. Work on a unique model of first cloud manifesto. Build open source solution. So we are building multiple open source solution. We'll soon make this solution live on our GitHub channel, and people can collaborate there and get rank and points. We'll also be launching certification soon, and will come up maybe in the next or next week. This is our past session that we have done. This is on cloud migration, multicloudforyou.com cloud migration, and anyone can go and look through this session. This covers the beginning concept and the mid-level concept of cloud migration, and also good for solution or enterprise architect who are trying to start on cloud migration, from the concept and the work perspective. And for the basic starters, because this session is more concentrated to Azure, so we have Azure 900 series session for most of the architect beginners and all, which we take ideally 1 or 2 times in a month. So that's there. You can, if you're facing any issues, you can go help, look at our help and FAQ page, and I would suggest there is some issue, so you can go, you can try using a private or incognito browser into window to connect to our pages. This you can scan. This is art of engineering, where you see there is a broken multi-cloud for you QR code, but you will be surprised when you scan it through mobile, right away it will work. So that's the engineering. That's all about engineering, and that's all about dotted world and the QR code, world of QR code. Uh, our session are streams mostly online through multicloudforyou.com/stream. We do podcasts, webcasts, and a lot of things. You can go this link, multicloudforyou.com/streams, to watch those session. And this is our Quora link. This is our LinkedIn group link. And moreover, Pressbreath has a YouTube channel which has more than 1,000 subscribers, which is Azure Development Group. You can directly search on the YouTube and log into him, and he quite often keep on posting on latest video on related to Azure on different topic on those channel. He has a Azure Development Group Telegram channel which has more than 5,000 members, and that's very hot place to connect with people, talk on Azure, talk on specifically on Azure, any specific issues, even the deep issues that you are finding on Azure, or even related to certification. You can talk to the experts there directly. I believe most of the experts in the industry are already there. So if you can directly join, it will be really helpful for you. So that's Azure Development Group. You can simply search for @ Azure Development Group when you are connecting to, or you have a Telegram, and you will be able to join this group. And similarly, Azure Development Group, either on Google or on YouTube, and you will be able to join the group. So I'm delighted to have Pressbreath, and who has around 15,000 followers on LinkedIn, to speak further. Thank you, Press, and I'm giving the mic back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Anjani.
Yeah. Thank you, Press.
Thank you, everyone, for joining this session, and it's very interactive. And thank you, Anjani and team, for arranging this. So I do have almost 2 years or 2 decades of the experience, and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer as well as solution architect certified from Microsoft. So first of all, why do we need an assessment, right? The reason behind is there that we do have almost around 1,000 billion investment in on-premises, and we cannot go ahead and just forget it, right? That is one of the reason that we go ahead and do the assessment. As part of assessment, what will happen? We do have a lot of application we'll be having into the on-premises, and we go ahead and perform the assessment so that we can go ahead and migrate this application. So while migration, we'll be having a different approaches for the different companies, different clients. So different client can have a different requirements. We can have one of the requirement that within no time client wanted to close the data center itself. In that case, the easiest will be for us to go ahead and have the lift and shift, right? But if they are looking for the getting the complete benefit of the assessment, or they wanted to reap the complete benefit of the Azure, so in that case they need to go ahead and have this approach, which is something like this. The same thing has been implemented also with my lot of clients where they wanted to get the benefit of the enterprises. First approach always should be like a SaaS, software as a service. Second should be PaaS, which is platform as a service. Third, which is IaaS, which is like infrastructure service. Then we can followed by, we can have it like a private cloud or hybrid cloud, or we can go ahead and retain it in the on-premise. So different requirement we can have it. So we were having almost around 100 of the questions. We were sending it to the different uh, persons over there from the client side, and we were not able to get the answer properly. In that case, we started going there and we started splitting the question into three parts, which is like sending it to the box, which is from the business side, technology side, and the support side. So we started getting the answer very much properly. We can have the understanding like we need to have at least the 60% of data should be filled so that we can have a fruitful assessment. We can have another requirement also that if any application is getting migrated, is getting decommissioned in 6 months, then no point of doing the assessment. So the best part is that some of the time we have seen that we have worked in the application for almost 3 months, and then we are coming to this application is not getting used at all. So such surprises also we go ahead and get it. The next requirement can be there that some of the client will be having that if my application which I'm going to migrate it is interfacing with some other applications also on the on-premises, that also needs to get migrated. So if you're not migrating this application first, which you wanted to migrate, so what I'm trying to say that if you are not going, if you are not migrating some other interfacing application, then you cannot go ahead and migrate the application which you wanted to migrate. So all interfacing applications also needs to be migrated. That is the bottom line. It's like rare of rarest you will be having such a requirement. And as part of the assessment or the migration, you can have the requirement that you need to go ahead and upgrade your application to the latest version. Suppose it is a .NET application, so you need to go ahead and migrate it to the .NET 4.6 SQL Server. That also needs to get to migrate it to the recent version. Data residency rule. So sometimes the client will be having a rule. The data for which they are the application which they are migrating it needs to be kept into their country boundary. Just to think you are migrating an application for the Euro, so the data also needs to be into their own country. Or like just to think they need to have a Azure data center over there so that they can go ahead and have a data. The client can have another requirement also. They will be having certain constraint toward the PII, which is a personal identifiable information. So as per the requirement, we need to go ahead and take a call. They will say that if higher the PII value, we should not take it to the cloud. So we need to go ahead and take care of while doing the mass assessment. Sometimes we do have a certain questions which is like a key question. So in that case, that question needs to be highlighted in a certain different color that needs to be answered. Then only we can go ahead and migrate the. We can go ahead and migrate this application, or we can go ahead and perform the assessment. So first of all, why do we need to go ahead and perform the assessment? If you go ahead and perform the assessment, not only that, if you go ahead and apply all the suggestion whatever we are giving it, or the we are giving you the details, if you are going to follow it, probably you can go ahead and use your expenses like 40%. Not only that, most of the enterprises they'll be having the competitor, right? So in that case, they need to go ahead and compete with the competitor, because as you can see that as on today, most of the company they are using Office 365. The reason behind is that using the Office 365 is having its own benefit. Similarly, we need to go ahead and migrate your application to the cloud so that you can go ahead and reap the benefit of the cloud. Many of the companies they have a policy which is called the cloud first policy. As part of that, we need to go ahead and migrate, try to migrate each and every application which you have on premises. So in my pre-sales, which I was doing, that certain time the client has given a requirement for us where we need to go ahead and migrate your application. You need, approach should be there to migrate this application to what I'm trying to say that some of the clients they have an applications where they will ask you to give a three different approaches. So three different approaches can be like they can go ahead and give you the solutioning for SaaS migration, PaaS migration, and infrastructure migration. Such requirements also we need to go ahead and read it. So sometimes client will be having a requirement because when you are working with an enterprise, I have worked with an enterprise which was having 1,500 application into North America itself region, right? So think of how many applications they'll be having. So in that case, what will happen when they are wanted to do the complete assessment, they can have a requirement where they need to go ahead and merge the complete operating system. What I'm trying to say, they will say that I wanted to merge all the Linux operating system application with the Linux operating system with a different version, with a say one version. Not only that, if you are migrating this application to the Windows, that also needs to be migrated to the single version only. Such requirement also will have, so that it is going to help them into the future. So as part of the assessment, we go ahead and ask the different questions. We go ahead and ask the different question that the question, so that we can go ahead and perform the assessment as per our need. That each application is having any of the low latency, because if they have a low latency, we need to go ahead and address it. Each application virtualized. If application is not virtualized, it means we cannot go ahead and take this application to the cloud. Each application is having a compliance requirement. So sometimes the client will be having a requirement where this application has to be in on-premises itself. So that in that case, we cannot go ahead and migrate this application to the cloud at all. Is this application is having a data residency? Sometimes client will be having a requirement where they need to keep a data into their own boundary. Or is this application getting decommissioned in 12 months or 6 months? If such requirement is there is no point of doing an application uh, assessment if it is getting decommissioned in a shorter duration. Or each application is having certain the confidential data. Some of the application will be having a confidential data. So as per the architecture principle of the company, we are not supposed to take the application data with some critical data, or they will be having their own rule which we need to go ahead and respect it and follow it. And what are the authentication and authorization model available over there? So we need to go ahead and perform the assessment, so that we can suggest to them also how can we go ahead and perform the authentication and authorization into Azure. Or each application is having a single sign-on. So if currently application is having a single sign-on, we need to go ahead and apply the similar logic over there into an application for assessment also. Is having a multi-factor authentication. So sometimes application will be having a multi-factor authentication. So as part of that, some of the time we'll be having a requirement that if you see Azure, they are supporting different type of MFA, where we can get an OTP on your phone as a SMS. You need to go ahead and you need to press hash on your key on your mobile, so that you can go authenticate. Not only that, you can have certain apps installed into your mobile where we need to accept it, or we need to get an OTP generated, so that we can go ahead and
Press if you can share your screen again. There is some issue. Just try
yeah, I'm
sharing.
doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, so hope you are able to see now.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So sometime if we're having a requirement where I was working with the FMCG client, the client was having a requirement where it was a lab. Where you cannot take a laptop, you cannot take a mobile, you will not be having an email facility. In that case, we have done the contextual IP address. So we were whitelisting the IP address. So no need of having authentication, like a self authentication. Each application is sending an email. So if you are having an Office 365, we can go ahead and use our .NET code and we can go ahead and send it. But if you are not having Office 365 into cloud, then we need to go ahead and use the SendGrid for sending the email. Payment gateway. This application is having a payment gateway. You need to see that where is the target audience. In my case, I was working with a beverages company which was getting supported into India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and the Bangladesh. So we need to see the payment gateway which is going to cater for us, and it is going to meet our requirement, and the native language is also supported, and all these things also we need to go ahead and address it. Is application maintaining any log? So sometimes we remember that whenever we are working in on-premises, we go ahead and write the log maintain, we do it into our hard disk, right? In that case, how can we go ahead and address the same thing into our Azure? Or do we have any application which cannot get ported, or can we go ahead and port it? We need to see what all application they are using it. Are they having certain challenges? Are they using a Windows 2000? Are they using an application which is having the not having they are not having any third party which cannot get migrated to the cloud? So sometimes we'll be having certain challenges also, so that we can go ahead and address as part of the assessment. Or are they using third-party component? Just to think that I was using EdX Toolkit into my application. So my client was having around 5.0. So at that time when I migrated, I've taken 15.0, which was a cloudable version. Are they performing any file upload? So how can we go ahead and we can go ahead and support the file upload options into an Azure. Or do they have a load balancer? Just you think you are going to migrate this application so into an infrastructure service, then how can we go ahead and address it? Or if you are going to have this application into a PaaS, what will be our approach? So all these things we go ahead and do that as part of our assessment. So after doing each and everything, we go ahead and prepare an HLD. The HLD where we go ahead and promise it, not only that, after the assessment, we are going to create an spreadsheet where we go ahead and write it, what is as it is out. As it is architecture is maybe ASP.NET 2.0. Our 2B architecture can be a latest version, or we can go ahead and create a web app. We can have a SQL Server 2010, and we can say that my 2B architecture can be Azure SQL, or accordingly we go ahead and address it so that we can go ahead and share it with the client, and accordingly this would be in sync to us, right? Because client can understand it and they can go ahead and help you. So after doing each and everything, so once client is convinced with your approach, we go ahead and create a high level design document. So in this week, we'll be having a different sections. The first section can be like application overview. In this, we go ahead and write 2, 3, 4 lines of the details. What is this application all about in a scope? As part of this, what all things you are going to perform as part of our assessment. It's not only assessment. Now we are having a plan where we are going to perform the migrations. How you are going to migrate your application and what all things you are going to perform as per our need out of a scope. So in this case, what will happen? Just to think you have an application one which you are going to migrate to the cloud. So you'll be having maybe a 15 other interfacing applications also you can go ahead and have it. So we need to go ahead and see what type of changes we need to go ahead and do that. So in this case, our approaches can be like where the required changes from our side, we are going to do it. Whereas for other 15 applications, if the change is required from their side, they need to go ahead and do that. Just to think this application is a tightly coupled. So in that case, they need to go ahead and make it is a decoupled so that we can go ahead and have the communication with the application into the cloud. We need to go ahead and perform the technical architecture. So how we are going to do that? What all component we are going to do that? Azure services we are going to use. How they are going to interact with each other. We go ahead and create a different diagrams where we go ahead and perform. We go ahead and show it like how we are going to authenticate it and different complete diagram or architecture we can see. Integration architect. In this case, how you are going to integrate your application with some other application? Are you planning to use the logic apps? Are you going to use the Azure Data Factory? And what is your justification? Everything you need to go ahead and explain over there. Authentication. So we need to go ahead and see what will be our authentication approach we are going to have it. Are you planning to, because Azure web app itself only it is supporting the 5 type of authentication. What will be our authorization approach? What type of encryption we are going to have? What will be our SSL? All these things we need to go ahead and so ultimately HLD is our document which you are promising to your client, which you are going to perform it once you are going to implement it completely into a cloud storage. So what type of storage offering you are going to use it? Are you using a blob? Are you using a data lake, Azure data lake storage? All these things we need to go ahead and mention it. RPO, recovery point objective. So we need to go ahead and see what is the RPO they have it today and what is the recovery time objective they have it in today. Accordingly, we can go ahead and suggest them. Deployment architectures, how you are going to deploy your complete application into in Azure. So we need to go ahead and create it. Data migration. So what will happen that when I was doing it, we were using the first time, uh, we were using the SAMW, SQL Azure Migration Wizard for migrating the application from on-premises to the cloud. But if you are doing into your development environment and all, at that time SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, itself was having own option to go ahead and generate a schema. Now we have got later point of time, we got something called SSM, SQL Server Migration Assistant. Now we have got something called assessment. At what all things we can go ahead and which is available in Azure. Using that we can go ahead and migrate your data or the schema from on-premises cloud. It's supporting not only the Azure to Azure, from SQL Server to Azure, but it supports from Oracle to Azure and some other options also we have it. Post-migration testing. So once you are able to do the complete migration, what will be our approach for us to go ahead and test it? So this client can be having a different client, they can go ahead and different approaches for the testing, or we can say like a test criteria, right? So we can go ahead and get the test cases from them, or probably they can have the criteria that they are looking for something which should be better into a cloud. Not only that, sometimes client can have will be having in on-premises, they are not supporting the high availability, they are not having the proper RPO, RTO. We can go ahead and suggest as per our assessment, we can go ahead and tell them that what will be the benefit of doing that and how can we they can go ahead and do that. So I can say that whatever the approaches we are going to give it to you, or suggestion which we are giving to you, you are going to implement it. Probably you can go ahead and reduce your expenses, right? Maybe probably 50%. Not only that, you are going to get the complete benefit of an Azure. So I am done, Anjani. So do we have any question?
Yeah, let's open up the mic for the people who 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 need to ask any question from press. Anyone who have any question? We will wait for another 3-4 minutes because people take a little time to open up. So no issues. So Arpan, Atul, Yus, Bhaskar, Darshan, Navneet, Gaurav, Guru, Jay. It's great that we are. Yeah, Atul, any input on hybrid application where some data needs to be on premises? Yes, this is a question from Atul. Any inputs on hybrid application where some data needs to be on premises? So he's
Sure.
looking after
Yeah.
a model which
Thank
is
you.
more like a hybrid model. Yeah.
No problem. So sometimes what will happen that I can give an example. We have an application which was using the SAP HANA they were using. So we cannot take just SAP HANA just like that. We cannot go ahead and take. So in this case, we have used Azure Data Factory, and using the Azure Data Factory, we were able to pull the data and we were keeping into an ADLS, Azure Data Lake storage, and we have used integration runtime for connecting to the private network. So using that, we were able to take the data and we were able to use it. Not only that, you can have your data into your on-premises, and we can go ahead
We are losing.
and connect to.
Yeah. Press, if you can be slow, little. We are losing you.
We can
Maybe
have a
some
web app
network issue.
into an Azure, which is a PaaS offering, and we can go ahead and connect to a SQL Server also. We can go ahead and like test. Yeah, am I not audible? Uh, Let me go ahead and repeat it again. What I was trying to say, I was having a client which was having SAP HANA database in on-premises. We have used integration runtime to connect to the on-premises, and we were able to pull the data to Azure Data Lake storage. And then we can go ahead and use it the way we wanted. Not only that, we can go ahead and have a web app into a PaaS offering, and we can have a SQL Server database also into on-premises, and we can go ahead and connect it. Using not only that, we can use the logic apps, or we do have a different integration platform. Especially, we can go ahead and for the smaller data, less than the 100 MB, we can go ahead and use the logic apps. If you have a data, huge data, GB or even a petabyte, we can go ahead and use the Azure Data Factory. So using that, we like such scenario, we can go ahead and hybrid connection, we can go ahead and implement it.
And as Press was talking about integration connector, so it's more like if you have a SaaS application like Data Factory or Logic app or Function app are exposed as a SaaS application. They are separate software as a service application, and even you can part of them can be called as platform as a service also. But what happens that if you have a virtual network which is a militarized zone and which has been connected to the in-premises system through a VPN tunnel or through a different method, maybe direct connection, or there are multiple way to connect with. So to bring up this SaaS application securely, get the feature of SaaS application securely so that this SaaS application should be able to access your data, you need that integration point. Right, Press?
Yes, Anjali, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, any other question? I think Mrityunjay, if you can repeat your question. So anything, Bhaskar, anything you want to share about post-migration testing? What type of issues are generally faced by user?
Yeah. So see what will happen in this case, the after doing the post migration. So in this case, what will happen as part of our assessment only, not only that, we need to be very clear with the client what they are looking at. Sometimes the easiest can be there, like client will say that whatever the test script which my tester is having it, they will go ahead and give it to you. You can go ahead and execute it. Or if they do not have any script, they can ask your tester to go ahead and do that. In this case, what will happen as part of our migration, we will be having already a tester which we can go ahead and a small part also, like on premises only. What we do is we go ahead and create a unit object and we can go ahead and ask them to test it, so we can go ahead and implement it. Not only that, the client will, they themselves only, they can go ahead and give you the different criteria. They will say that how is my store procedure is working, how is the performance. They'll be having their own criteria. Against that you can go ahead and test it, right? So this is the way we go ahead and do that. So before the work only, we need to try to get the requirement from their side. What are the parameters on that if they are going to test your application? This should not happen. We have seen in the past, this application is working perfectly into SAP HANA into the on-premises, and they have migrated this complete SAP HANA into a VM, Azure VM, and it is taking much more time than the required one. So in that case, definitely it is an issue.
Yeah. So in that, the way Press added here, so I would like to add here. So in that case, infrastructure assessment is also very important. When you talk about infrastructure assessment, it's more like, let's say, there uh, there was a specific load on the in-premises server on SAP HANA, and it was working fine because the server was able to take the load. And now when you deployed the same on the cloud, and you didn't cater the same infrastructure VM or adding load balancer or horizontal or vertical scalability, then obviously that's going to have problem. Another thing is there may be some infrastructure or operating system issue, version of operating system, or even the patches which are deployed on the operating system can do a drastic give you a drastic nightmare when you try to deploy the same application which was working fine on the in-premises on the cloud. So adding to the testing side also, if you see that let's say there was some testing, so it's cloud migration is more a strategic kind of work, and that's why where program manager and product owner are required in terms of along with solution architect to plan it correctly. So it's all about landing zone, getting into the landing zone, doing it fine, and then once the landing zone is done, it's more around assessment at different level, governance at different level, and then putting a right testing strategy which was already there working on in premises. And are you going with the same criteria, or your business has decided that I am able to accept, or we're going to cloud? Because once someone goes into cloud, he has his own business needs. So let's say business has decided that this much extra traffic we are going to take, then obviously you will have to do the load testing also. And if everything is fine on your landing zone or on your UAT, or obviously now QA, or like mostly there are 2 to 3 environment only, not like in the older days where we had SIT, QA, UAT, pre-prod and prod. So depending upon your deployment strategy, depending upon your either you do blue green deployment or how you're going to plan it, you will have to test it preferably before get a sign off and then move. So everything can be automated if we're building a product separately, but in the case of cloud migration, because it also depends on what type of migration project you are handling, either whether it's going to be waterfall is agile, whether it's going to be full agile, or whether it's going to be a waterfall and a mix of little of agile going smart. So there are different considerations to need to be taken place. So any other question? So Bhaskar says, Jay, what is the
Yeah,
main criteria to take note when selecting IS, PAS or SAS? So Jay is asking Priyas, what is the main criteria to take note when selecting
Yeah, sure.
IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS? Yeah.
Sure. So a very good question. So in this case, what will happen that which I was telling you. So first of all, you need to understand the difference between the IS pass and SaaS. So probably Anjani may have already explained you as a AG 900, but still I will tell you just a very short description. In infrastructure service, what will happen? They are going to give you only the hardware. Whereas in the platform as a service, they have given you the setup from their side. It means they are giving you just giving an example. In infrastructure service, you are going to install a server into a VM. Am I right? So you are doing this some work. Whereas in the platform as a service, they have already installed it and they are giving to use it. Right? But to go ahead and pass, you need to go ahead and develop your application. Where in infrastructure also you are doing this similar thing you are doing it. Where in software as a service, someone else could have developed this application. You are just going to reuse it, right? So always the client wanted to get the complete benefit of Azure or cloud. They will be having a first choice is a software as a service. In this case, what will happen? Just to think, I have an application, all right? So this application was from the entertainment company. So this application they have asked us to give an approach for three of the approaches. So like first preference was like a software as a service, second was a platform as a service, third was infrastructure as a service. So we give an option to them as a software as a service. They go ahead and use the JDA or Kinetics or they had a demand transfer. So three options we gave it them to go ahead and use. So in this case, what will happen that whatever application they have in on premises, they need to go ahead and scrap it and they need to go ahead and migrate the data, which they can go ahead and use it as a SaaS platform. So the benefit of using the SaaS is there. They are not owning the application, someone else is owning it, and they can go ahead and use it. And the billing will happen on the consumption model or maybe on the user model. Always SaaS is the best. Second, coming back to the second preference will be like a platform as a service. In this case, you are building an application and you are maintaining it completely. You are putting an overhead of maintaining it and developing it also. So, but the benefit is that it's a managed service. So you don't need to go ahead and the operating system upgrade or you don't need to think for the patching and all. That is about the pass. So the second option will be for us to go ahead and use the pass one. Whereas the third option can be infrastructure service. In this case, you are building this application and you are going to host it on a
Press, you can look like press if you can try speaking
preference is a
again.
SaaS. If it is, we go and do it. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, you are audible now. Yeah, there was some issue.
So, okay. So, what I was trying to say, always the preference is a service. If it is not possible, then the second option will be like approach will be a platform as a service. So, but ultimately in platform as a service, you need don't need to go ahead and maintain the hardware. You don't need to go ahead and upgrade the software. We don't need to have the perform the patching. So that is the second option which you have. The last option among these three is like infrastructure service. So you are going to build this application and need to go ahead and maintain right? Just to think you wanted to have the high availability and all, we need to go perform certain operations over there. So this is the way we go ahead and decide it. So this will take us own time to explain it, but I'm just explaining a very shorter duration. So let me tell you again. So the SaaS approach which I have given was Mechanicsys, JDA, and Demantra. The past approach was there. This was a completely a thick client WPF application built, right? So I have given an operation that approach was there in the past. This is a 3 years old story. Go ahead and scrap your application into the on-premises and create an application with MVC.NET. So this was the second approach as a pass I have given it. Now coming back to infrastructure service, my approach was there. Take this application, keep it into Azure VM, and you can go ahead and use the tool which is called Click Once. If you are able to use the Click Once, you can go ahead and connect from your on-premises also, and you can go ahead and use this application as it is installed in your local box itself. So this is the way we go ahead and perform it.
Yeah, press. Yeah, Yeah, we are losing a
So
little, but yeah, we are able to understand, I believe. Any other question, or we'll? Um,
How do you manage on the billing? Some customers need a proper billing details like before going ahead with the project. So how you estimate those billings?
yeah. So in this case, what will happen that we need to understand the current requirement, whatever they have it, and then as part of the assessment which I told you, we'll come to know about the to be architecture. Am I right? So as per the to be architecture, you should be very clear in that, and we can go ahead and use the tool which is called price. We can go and just write Azure pricing. You will get a calculator over there. So you can just go ahead and get the calculator over there, and you'll be knowing that what is the consumption you are going to have. Just you think you are going to use the Azure web app for the UI website development, we can say you are going to use Azure SQL, and what all the details is required from our going to use the blog. We can go ahead and give the complete pricing details. We can have it into our portal itself only. Just like Azure pricing, you will get all the details. You can select it, which region you wanted to know, what is the capacity you are looking at. Accordingly, it is going to generate it that, and then you can go ahead and download your complete details into as an Excel sheet. It will go ahead and download. You can download it to your local box, monthly billing and yearly billing. It will give it to you, and you can share with your management. This is the way we go ahead and do it in our projects.
yeah, adding to
So whatever
Priyas.
you are doing, it is just an anticipation.
Yeah, and we also had a very nice experience in the past. So adding to Priyas, what I would like to say is, obviously when you go through Azure pricing, so you have to just think about three major important things: compute, bandwidth, and storage. These are the three things which are going to be built on anything that you are doing on the cloud. So compute, you have to see how much compute you are needing for the change. So obviously your solution architect or infrastructure architect need to be very clear when he's planning the migration or when he's trying to move something, that the architecture is clean and clear, that this is what estimated, this is what, because of the load, like new load which will become, and this will be the architecture, this much extra services, anything IaaS or PaaS or FAS or CAS would be needed. And for this, this much more compute would be required. Again, compute is a very different concept on cloud, because there is uh, a metering there in terms of, let's say, and there is also a stoppage at one point of time where, let's say, one of your VM CPU is going to be used or getting hot, keeping itself hotter for more than 30% or 40% of uses every hour. So if you are not choosing the right virtual machine or right compute platform, what will happen, that will start throttling up the processing power. Similarly, you bandwidth also depends upon how you are going to use it or consume it. To go frugal, you can have a limited bandwidth as per your client need or as per your product need, and then you can increase the bandwidth based on time. Similarly, for the compute also, go at pay as you go and then move on. And also for the fast and cast, there are multiple options to do, but the pricing calculation in a nutshell will give you the whole idea as what is going to happen. Talking about bandwidth, you can go through your task manager, or if you have in-premises system, or if you have your APM or anything installed there, already monitoring is happening. You will be able to understand how much bandwidth, network, or the computer storage is mostly being used during the past 1 year, and based on that you can apply. You can also apply performance monitoring for another almost 5-10 days. See a sampling, do a sampling, and then based on that you can add up 25% or 30% extra to it and then move on. So there are different approach to do it. Obviously this can be worked as a team. Yeah, so if you have any real time issue, you can obviously connect to us on LinkedIn and we'll help you out. Any other questions, sir? Anyone else? Okay, so it was a great session, Priyas, and it was a great learning for all of us, and great that you gave us time and from your almost busy slot of almost 12 hour a day that you work. But yeah, we are really appraised, applauded, and we feel like uh, like privileged to have you here. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Anjani, and everyone for joining it and making this session very interactive and useful. Appreciate your effort. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.